Hello and welcome back to another episode on the Hermitcraft server. We're going to be continuing with the project that we've been doing in the last few episodes. I really want to get this done, so we're just going to fly straight into it and do as much as we can this episode. So I'm going to be changing the dispenser system that we have here to give pumpkins to the mobs. Generic B came up with a much better method of doing this, so I'm going to install that and then show you how it works. So this is the new system that we're going to be using to give the mobs pumpkins, and I want to say thank you to everyone who left a comment telling me to reevaluate how I've done this. Quite a few different suggestions and quite a few people saying to go watch Generic's video, and this is just a really great way of doing it. So it's very simple. Down there we have a pressure plate, and then we've got water above it, so we have an extra sign here, and of course by moving the water over to this bit it's going to flow further down this way, so we've got a sign to stop it and let it drop down where it did before, so we don't have to readjust the stream the whole way along. Now where this pressure plate is, there's actually a redstone torch underneath this block here that's connected to the block that the pressure plate is on, so it's going to power this redstone wire here when there's nothing on the pressure plate, and that will in turn power the block next to it, which is next to the dispenser. So when there's nothing on the pressure plate, it's going to dispense another item. So when a mob comes through, it's going to pick up the pumpkin and then continue on its way, and then there's going to be nothing on the pressure plate, which will cause it to dispense another item, and then that item will just flow onto the pressure plate. It's going to sit there because there's nothing to push it. The water here though will push it onto the pressure plate, and then it will stay there until another mob comes through. Now it could actually sit there for 5 minutes and then it would despawn and another one would be dispensed from the dispenser. So that's the only inefficiency there, that the items don't last forever. So what I might do is put a lever here that I can just turn on and say I'm not using this at the moment, and when we are harvesting these we can turn it on. In fact, I just had the idea we could wire it up to this bit here, so when we open this valve and turn this on, it'll also turn on the dispenser system. Okay, it's finished. So when we turn on the valve and open up the door, this redstone is also going to turn off this torch here, which means it's not interfering with this circuit and this can work as normal. And I've also put this piston here so that you can refill it like this, and I was just using pressure plates to test it out. And there we go, that's almost full, and I'm going to put that back there. It should actually dispense one to go on the pressure plate. But we can activate that now, which I'm not going to do because I'm going to head back down there and continue working on that part, and I've also removed the collection point here since we're not going to be using that anymore. Okay, we're back over here, and I think this time things are going to be a lot smoother because I've already started work on the next bit that we're building, which is the item collection point. So where we're standing right now, we're actually going to be about 2 or 3, maybe 4 blocks lower when the actual room is built, because we want to stand underneath these iron bars. So this is where the water comes around the corner. We've got the dispensers up there. If you remember, when they get dispensed they're going to come down to this side over here, so we have this to collect the items, and we've got stairs on this side at the back and that side as well, and then when the water flows over, the drops are just going to drop down on this point here. And I don't think it's possible, but if they were to make it on top of the iron bars, because the water's flowing over it, it'll push it onto the gap on the other side. So this is going to be where we're standing now and looking. This is roughly going to be where the roof is. I think we're going to have a row of glass across the front here so you can see the mobs go by, and then I guess the roof will be at this height, and then I'm going to build a room down below for us to walk into to collect the items. Okay, so here is the room that we're going to collect the items from. It's alright, it's pretty simple. I just went with some shapes, and we brought in a different colour wood down here on the floor. And I was wondering if it would be a better idea to have a water stream down the bottom here and make it more automated. So we've got a corridor down here which is going to have some steps that lead down to get to this area and to the next one, and I did wonder maybe if it would be a better idea to just have it so that the items, they fall through this gap, then they go through another water stream and get pushed into the corridor. But do you know what, I think just having a room for it like this is pretty cool and pretty fun to build as well. So next we're going to be building the second part over there, which is where we're going to, I don't know how it works yet, but we're going to divide the mods up. Oh dear, having one of those days with words today. But yeah, we're going to divide the mobs up and give them items. So I've started work on the next area where the mobs are going to go into, and we're going to be able to stop them into a little group and give them items. Now we've got some pistons to extend on either side, and we're using stairs so that they're transparent blocks and they won't cause the mobs damage, because we're going to be doing this manually. We'll have a couple of levers over on this side, and if we extend it at the time that the mob is standing here, then it's not going to take any damage. So I've been worrying about where I'm going to put the dispenser, because that can actually dispense items out to one direction, and what I was worrying is that if we put it, say, here, it might actually be a mob over this side that manages to pick up that item. But then I've realised that, you know, this doesn't need to be 100% accurate, because we're sending mobs into the arena, and most of the time I'm just going to have a load of mobs go through with all sorts of items, and then maybe a group of extra hard ones that have like enchanted iron armour and stuff. So it doesn't need to be too specific for what I'm doing. So we're going to have a couple of levers to control this, and I think there was only one other thing that really was important, and that was to have another set of iron bars. So any items that we give to them when we've actually made a mistake and it's not going to pick it up, then it will go through and fall down some iron bars again, at which point I'm probably just going to have a water stream bring it back round to over here. So the shape of this room and how I'm going to go about doing it is probably going to look quite similar to what you're seeing at the moment, because it doesn't feel like there's a need for a lot of stuff. Now, a moment ago I talked about the dispensers. They'll probably be on this side so we can actually access them, but I was thinking it might just be easier to stand here and throw the items over a glass wall. So I might end up just doing it as simple as that. Now, I did have another idea to make the room like that one there, but that felt like I'd be overdoing it and probably making it not too useful. Like, you want to make this as easy as possible, really, and having another room like that where you stand down below and you have, I don't know, one idea I had was to have an item elevator, bring the items up to here and then give them to the mobs. All that kind of stuff is just a bit over the top, so this room right here might end up being very simple. Okay, I think this is now finished. I decided against dispensers since it's really easy just to stand here and throw the items at them. One thing though, if we got skeletons coming through here, that might be a bit of annoyance, because we might end up getting shot by them a couple of times. These walls though, I had to be forced in a way to use these materials, because this is the back of the wall on the other side, but it fits in nicely, and I tell you what, we need a torch like that on either side so it's even. And then over here we had to put this little pathway down to the bottom where you can collect the items that go past the end here. So you can see there's a couple of iron bars, and then I put water underneath them, and I put it in line with this block here so it'd float at a diagonal, and you can see that any item that lands on this bit will just flow around the corner and land on the pressure plate. Now I could also wire that up to an indicator light to kind of let you know that that there's items there, but that seems kind of pointless because all you've got to do is look down to the right. So I don't think there's really much more to do with this, because that's all we need to do. So I think, yeah, I'll have a think and make sure I haven't missed anything, but I think that's it. All we've got to do now is make a little bit more of the tunnel with the stone bricks so you can just see it there. I don't like things like that where you can see it going out of the pattern like that, but then the tunnel is just going to go off all the way down to the arena, and I think the next thing we might have to start doing is actually building that. I will make the pathways back here a little bit clearer, and then we can come back to this at another time. We need to tidy up this hallway and also make an entrance up to the surface at some point. So it's now time to start building the arena, and I've extended the path that the mobs go down all the way to this point, and that's the path after the part we just built where we give them items. And originally what I wanted to do is drop them into the very centre of the room, and I don't think that's going to be possible because that's probably somewhere around there where all the glass is. So my idea was that the arena would be like a circle, and that they would fall into the very centre of it. So they're going to fall into the back part of it, I guess. So what I need to do is pick a height where I want to build the floor at, and I think somewhere like there might be suitable, maybe 1 or 2 blocks higher. But not too high, because we want to fit some trees in here as well. And my original plan was just to fill in the entire floor, but since we're not going to be making our arena that shape, it would be a waste of netherrack, although it's disposable. It's more like a waste of my time. So I think what I'm going to do is outline a circle shape and then fill it all in, and then that'll be where we build the arena, and those guys are just going to have to drop in somewhere at the back. So beyond that, I'm not too sure what I want to do yet. I had a couple of ideas, like having there will definitely be walls the whole way around so that the mobs can't escape, but I was thinking about putting doors, like say 6 on this side and 6 on that side, and behind each door is a little room with a chest and a bed, and then each player that comes down here to participate in the games that we're going to play in the arena, they get to have a room each. That seems maybe like a little bit of overkill. Like, I could just have one room for all the players, but I kind of like the idea of spacing everyone out. So I'm gonna have that to think about while I build this. So I think I'm definitely going to put this higher as well. Anyway, what I'm going to do is probably go at about that height there and build the outline of the circle first. Okay, that is the outline of the circle done, and I've just noticed there's a couple of mobs spawning over there because I haven't lit any of this up, and I guess that goes to show how well we've lit up all of the area so far, if there's going to be mobs spawning in dark spots we've just made. But yeah, all we've got to do now is fill this all in with netherrack. I actually thought this was going to take me a really long time to do, but it didn't take me long at all to make the circle, and I'm pretty sure it won't take that long to fill it in either. There we go, didn't take long at all, and now we can start work on the next part of the arena, which is to start terraforming some terrain in here. So I'm going to be putting down grass and dirt. I'm not too sure how many features we can put into this really. I was thinking we could put a river in here, but the rest of it I'll just have to kind of make up as I go along. So we're going to keep it relatively flat in the middle, and it will get slightly higher as it goes out to the edges, and then maybe by the time it hits the edge it will be 3 or 4 blocks taller. What I don't want to do is make that too circular, so I'm going to try and variate it as it goes around and keep it looking natural. We'll start off with that, and then after we've got down some terrain we can plant trees and things like that as well. But one idea that I did have for the river is for it to go through this bit here, which is kind of like central but towards the back a bit, and that's where the mobs fall down currently at the moment. If we just move that back to over here, we could have them drop down into the river. So when we start the games we'll have some redstone that's linked up to a lever, some redstone that's linked up to a piston up there, and we can just open it and all the mobs will fall down here into the river. So I've started doing a bit of terraforming. I like the shape that we got so far, and what I'm thinking is that over on this side we're going to have it go higher around this bit, so all of this area that I'm pointing at now will be fairly raised up. In fact, that'll probably be that side over there as well, because I think that's where I want to have those doors that I talked about earlier for the players to come out of. Then over on this side I want to do something a little different. It raises up a bit here, then I think I might just have it back down again and have a little raised bit go through here. I've also totally forgotten about putting in the river, and if I put in the river that means I'm going to have to replace some of this netherrack with dirt, so you don't see the netherrack under the water. I might actually ditch the river idea. I'm not sure, haven't really sort of taken it into consideration at this point. I don't know, I'll keep working on it. So there is something that I've forgotten to take into consideration here. We do need some water in this area because we need a drop pool for the mobs to fall down from, and I'm going to put that around here. It's kind of in the centre, so we'll have a little hole up there that they're going to come down from, and this needs to be 2 deep water so that the mobs don't take any damage as well. So what I think I'll do is, rather than have a river, we'll have this drop pool kind of lead off and go off in this direction. So along here is where the water's going to go. It's going to go through the cobblestone, and it's going to be done so that none of the mobs or players can actually get through that, and then we'll just have the land on the other side again. So rather than a river going from one side to the other, it's like we've got ourselves a drop pool and then a little lead off. I thought I'd share this with you quickly, since it only just occurred to me to do this, but we need a 2 deep pool of water. What I've normally done when I do this is I fill in the bottom with water, and then I place blocks across the top, and I put water on the side of those blocks, then remove a layer and place water on there and remove another layer like that. But what I've done here is I've placed ice down, so if I break down all of the ice on the top, there's going to be ice underneath it, so all of that's going to turn into water because it has a block below, and then I can break the ice below that, and then that will turn into water as well. So if you have an ice farm and silk touch picks and you've got a lot of disposable ice, that's something to remember, because that's really convenient to do, because all I've got to do now is that, and then we've got a 2 deep pool of water. Time for another progress update. I actually built this at the wrong height. I had to move it up 1 block, and then I've done all of this bit without changing the netherrack to dirt, so it slowed me down a bit, but we're getting there. Started terraforming this side over here, started putting in the cobblestone wall around the outside to see what that looks like. And I was looking at all of this and I felt like it looks a little bland at the moment. Now obviously we're going to bone meal the ground to put some grass and put some trees up here as well, and I'm thinking what I might do is bring in another type of terrain. So maybe we could have a little bit of sand over in one area, or some stone, maybe even some gravel, just something to break up the scenery a little bit. But one thing that I've noticed is this isn't as big as I kind of pictured it in my mind. I'd say I pictured it being about twice the size and it's not until you get up here and start placing down everything that it all gets a little bit smaller, but I still think it's a reasonable size to do this in, so I'm going to continue with it. So here we are, I've finished terraforming the arena, and I decided against putting down any sand or gravel or anything different. I thought I'd just stick with the grass like this. I'm quite happy with the shape, I think it looks good, but what we need to do next is to put in some trees. So I brought down some oak saplings and bone meal, and we're also going to be bone meal the ground as well, so we can get lots of flowers and seeds, and I think that's going to be like the finishing touch. Once all of that's in place, I think this will look really good. But again, this is a lot smaller than I expected it to be. I'm not sure if that's really going to affect anything too much, but there was something else that I remembered as well, and that is that the mobs that are going to drop down into here, we actually want to make a valve system for them up there where we can dispense potions, so that's something else we're going to have to set up. We're going to have another little room where they all drop down into a tube, and then we can fire some potions onto them before setting them off into the next bit where they'll fall down into this hole here. So I've got that to build, but I'm going to do the trees and bone meal next. Okay, this is looking good. I decided to remove all of the flowers after I put down the bone meal, just felt better like that, and I've tried to vary the grass as well. It's quite strong around most of the place, and then over this side there's a lot less of it around here. But yeah, I'm really starting to feel the size of this place. Like, it is really not that big at all. It just takes you a few moments to get from one side to the other, but I think it's still going to be a lot of fun. There's enough room here to have a bunch of hermits fighting the mobs. So I guess the next thing we should be doing is setting up the entrance. Like I said, we need some rooms with doors on the sides. Probably going to put a few of those in each corner, and then we need to link that up with a proper entrance, because at the moment I'm just climbing around here. So that is something that I want to do proper. I don't want to make something temporary at the moment, because I'm going to hook it up to the entrance that we have with our portals. So this place, the warehouse, has basically become like the dungeons and the warehouse, and there's probably very little chance that I would tear all of that apart to do something else now. So we want to make it a proper entrance for it. We'll build a little room down here at some point, and then that's going to lead into the dungeon area, and then also up top to where we have the arena. So now I am working on the drop-off point. This is where they're going to fall down into the water. You can just about see it there. I'm going to wire that up to a lever somewhere down below. Yeah, it's right in the middle of that bit there. So this bit here is where the mobs are going to go down or gather up. So you can see it's too wide, and there's quite a big area here for them to all gather in. So when it's closed like this, we'll have water that flows up to the edge here, and then wherever that starts, we're going to do the pressure plate and signs technique to continue the water flowing at the same level. So over here is where we're going to put in the, I don't know what you could call it, like the tube for dispensing potions onto them, and this is how I was going to do it. Have some blocks here that extend by default so that they all gather in here, and then when you want to dispense the potions on them, I've just realised that's kind of inefficient. You want to dispense the potions right before they go down into this bit here. So I actually want them in a tube closer to this. I might have to rethink this then. I guess what I could do... Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm going to redo this. Okay, so I'm working on building a new setup. We were going to drop the mobs into a little tube area here that would have water on one side and pistons on the other to contain them. And then after we've done that, we can send them through here. Now, I was building this with the thoughts that we'll have like a control room here with buttons to control everything, like a piston to control the water, these pistons, and the dispenser. And I've realised that we're going to be activating this from all the way down below, because like these ones here, we're going to be controlling that from down below. So what I might actually do is just remove these pistons. They're going to be pointless because there's going to be a door here now. So what I think I might end up having to make is a circuit where when I send a signal all the way up here, it's going to send a series of pulses to the dispenser, let's say 9, so we can put actually that would be pointless. There's only, I think, 3 or 4 different types of potions we can actually put on these mobs. So what it's going to have to do is send 3 pulses to the dispenser and then change the state of these doors. So I've basically gone into this with a completely different approach to the wiring. So again, I'm going to have to rethink this, although I don't think there's so much a sense of rethinking, just removing these pistons and wiring these up differently. The redstone is now finished, so let me show you how it works. If we hit the lever, you'll see that 3 items are going to get dispensed, and then the doors are going to open. I picked one of those up. And the way this works, the doors is very simple. It's just on a timer, so they open after the dispenser. And the way the dispenser works is we have this piston here with sand on top. Now we could have used the sticky piston with a block on top, that would have done the same thing, but it creates like a monostable circuit because the signal comes in here and then it creates a pulse, but it also extends the piston, so it severs the input. So when the pulse comes through, it divides up, it goes through this one first, then this one, and then that one, and it actually looks like the redstone wire is staying on the whole time, but it does power the dispenser 3 times. So this is how it's going to work. We just need to wire this bit up to a switch down below. Then when I activate that, all of our mobs that are stored in this area are going to have 3 items dispensed onto them, then being splash potions, and then the doors are going to open. So we need to wire it up, and we need to build the path for the mobs to come down as well. Okay, everything is now in place. I've finished doing the wiring that goes all the way down to the bottom so we can activate it from the arena, and the pathway with all the water is up there as well. So now I think that's everything. What I want to do is test this, and I didn't hear the dispenser go off. Now I was wondering if I wired this up wrong, so let's just open up the top and have a quick look. Oh no, it did work, and there's 2 pumpkins there as well. That could have been disastrous. And I was just about to say, there shouldn't be 2 because they should group up, which would suggest that there is a stack of them there. So let's have a quick look. No. Okay, I don't know why they haven't grouped up. But anyway, what I'm going to do now is wait around here, let a few gather up down in the collection area, and then we'll go over there, give them some stone swords, and send them down into the arena. Okay, so we've got a lot of mobs in here, and if I just press this button, I'm going to dispense it a bunch of swords like that. You can see a couple of them have picked them up. And that's exactly what we wanted it to do. So now let's send them... What did I do? I opened up the wrong side. Need to label these up really. So down they all go. It looks like one went the wrong way, unfortunately. And let's watch them go through the next area as well. I will do some tests at some point and just chuck items down to make sure this works okay. They're not going through as fast as I expected them to. If we go to the next room, we'll see them go through there as well. And some of these skeletons are going to be able to shoot me like these guys. There you go. So anyway, we will wait for them to go all the way down to the end. I'm going to go grab a couple of potions so we can test that that works. In fact, I'll grab 3 so we can see... Well, I don't think we'll be able to see all 3 effects at once, but I guess that's something we can look out for. But anyway, we just want to check that that works, so I'll grab some potions while these are all making their way towards the arena. Can you hear that? That is the sound of mobs. They are all in here, and while I was working on this area I brought some glass over with me as well. And I couldn't remember why I brought it, and now I do. It's so we can actually have a look and see if they're in there or not. And I've also put potions in the dispenser. So this thing is all ready to go, so I'm going to do a test next, and that is pretty much it for this project. We put all the foundations in for the arena, and now people will be welcome to come down and play. And what I plan on doing is getting everyone together at the same time so we can have a real battle with some mobs that will have like iron armour and have a lot of fun. But unfortunately everyone, well not everyone, but a fair few people are at Minecon at the moment, so getting everyone together at the same time is going to be not possible for a few weeks. So next episode I'll be recording after this episode comes out, so I'd like to know what you guys want to see me do, because we can actually take a break from all of this. We've been working on it solid for a while now, and I'm sure some of you are sick of it, so let me know if you want me to do something different. We could go back over to the village and build a house there, or we could finish off the tube, which is technically finished. We just need to make the station at either end. So there's a few other things we could do instead of that. That's all we're going to be doing for this episode. What I thought I'd do for the end of this is show you me fighting the mobs. I'm going to activate this in a moment, but I'll put some music to that, and if you want to stick around and watch that, then you're welcome to. But otherwise, thank you for watching, and I will catch you next time.